Right, welcome to the Wimbledon 2023 preview show on the Slice. We are approaching the hallowed grounds of SW19. People say it's the height of the tennis calendar. I would agree. The biggest tournament, the best tournament, is about to go down. And the real question on the men's side is, can anyone anyone even inconvenience? Can anyone make him break a sweat? And yes, of course, we're talking about Novak Djokovic, who is going through his 8th Wimbledon, 24th major title. Just incredible. We're looking at the contenders. Are there any, or are they all pretenders? We got Carlos Alcaraz winning in Queens. We've got Zverev. We've got Medvedev. We've got Sinner. We've got Tsitsipas, who's more interested in his new girlfriend. So we're gonna ask the question: who are the contenders, if there are any, and who are the pretenders who might become contenders based on the draw? So
all right, we should turn this off. I had to come inside. There's construction going on down the street. It's hot too, so there's noise out there, and you can hear it a little bit maybe. Many of you listened probably to the West Christian call. Anyway, there was somebody else on the call. I'm not going to mention. It gets me going about narcissism, and then and who can be more narcissistic than I guess, right? Because I'm sitting here talking to myself, and nobody's home. But Wes was amazing, absolutely amazing. And so Ham will come on and talk about it. He did not listen to it without detracting. I've got to say, much of what Wes said is what Ham has said, and somewhat, well, a lot of it I've pointed out and said, others too. So it's not about any one person. But the interesting thing is, a guy like Wes needs to see it in evidence before it matters to him, and he's got oodles of it, and that's what's so great. It's so great, and I don't think there's anybody better. Maybe John Kennedy down in Louisiana. There's nobody better than Wes to break it down to its succinct issue, state it, and he doesn't shy away from stating it. He calls it fraud. He calls it stealing. He calls it, there was another term he used. I'll have to re-listen to it. He said his dad would say, if someone is turning the heat up on you, you must be close to your goal. Pedro was asked not really a question, but a great statement, I thought. So anyway, I'll shut up. Ryan, you knew what I was talking about. Whew. He said, from now on, when I talk about myself as an investor, I'm not going to talk about my company. When I talk about the company as a CEO, I'm not going to talk about it myself. And he proceeded to talk about his company. All right. I will take your questions for him. I'll take some of your thoughts if you listen to the call. I got to call in about 15 minutes. Look up WETG. WETG. Let me look up WFNG. Fingers 295. Oh, that's the other thing I hope Ham talks about. I think today, should you have a desire, I think it's a good time to buy finger and buy call options. The worst case, you miss out on a trade, but if there's a trade, boy, it's going to be big. And we can watch Wimbledon together. The men's draw is out. I did my little I don't know how to post this anywhere, but I did my little analysis of it. In the first round, you've got Sinner, Sinner Ruud, and you've got Rublev Djokovic probably in the fourth round. And Alcaraz, I think Alcaraz could be beat, so I had him beat. I wrote down that I'm having Alcaraz beaten by Humbert. But Rune's in that side, Zverev's in that. But in a big call, I'm going for the American Tiafoe in the semifinals. We'll see. I like that guy. He's powerful, consistent. And down in the bottom, you've got Murray, again, Medvedev, and Tsitsipas. But I think Murray's going to beat Tsitsipas. I think Medvedev is going to lose to Griekspoor. And I think ultimately it's going to be Korda. How's that? I have Korda winning the upper half. We'll see. And down in the bottom half, I just have I have Sinner losing to Fritz. And then I think Ruud will beat Fritz. Ruud will be in the semifinals. I think all this noise down here in Djokovic's quarter, I think Rublev is going to go through to the quarterfinals, but I think Djokovic can beat him. I think this guy, Lajovic, is going to go through. I think Djokovic wins that quarter. He plays Ruud. Djokovic wins. And then I have as the champion Djokovic. So how's that? We'll follow it. I wrote these in pen, but I wrote these all in pencil. So when I'm wrong, I can erase them and lie to you. No, it's just so I can erase them and update it. We'll follow it. But I think buying finger calls, the July, I don't think the July 7s are 20 cents. The 6s are 25 cents. You can go out to August, but I think you can just go ahead with a tiny bit. You know, if you bought 5 of the July 7s, it's $100. It's a lot of money, I know, but it's $100. If it runs, great. If it doesn't work in the 3-week time frame, we can buy the August 7s for $100. It's the cost of it's the cost of a steak chicken dinner, winner chicken dinner. 100 more shares is better, by the way, Frank. Shares are better than options. Shares are better than options. Hey, Perry, Frank, that's great. I forgot about WETG. WETG. We Trade Group. I don't know. Why are you telling me about this? It's down. I'm so excited about WETG. It's down 2%. 41,000 shares traded. 931 to 960. Guys, I'm not, just because someone asked me about it and I'm talking about it, I'm not convinced. When will TD remove your deleted MMTLP placeholders? I don't know. Look back to June. All right, I'll look back to June. There's nothing to see. There's the chart. What's to see? I don't know. I'm not seeing it, Lee Willis. Wills, I will, just because we're running out of time, I'm going to write that down. I will look on a better chart on WETG. I will look it up, but I'm not going to take time right now because if there's 15 minutes, Ham mentioned it. I'll ask him about it, Lee. How's that? Is that a deal? I'll ask Ham about it. He also mentioned overstock and it went up. So you might be right. You might be right. Mexican silverback. Does anybody... WKRP in Cincinnati. 4 cents to $20 in a week. All right, Lee. I'm being negative without knowing what I'm talking about. So let's 4 cents to, that's huge, Lee. That is huge. So I'll ask him about it. Jenny L, great Friday. Happy 4th of July to everyone. I'm still learning options. Well, I'll tell you one way to learn AC. Buy 5 calls, the April 6s or 5s or 7s, and you'll watch it. But you'll probably lose your money. Oh, it's already made its move. All right, Lee. Well, we'll find out. I'll ask him. I don't know when TD's going to remove that. Oh, I see what you're saying, Lee. I see. You're hoping that GTII does a trade like that. Gotcha. Well, I'll ask him. Gerald, I think in call options you should always, myself, if you own them, roll over to the next month. But what I'm noticing is there's very little time premium in the calls. Now, obviously, everything above $3 is all time premium, but it's very little right now. So I think you could buy the Julys and ride them on through, and then the time premium of the Augusts. Right now, the time premium of the August reflects 8 weeks or whatever. When these expire, August time premium will come down as well. So until I see an expansion of the time premium in the July calls, I would say just stick with the July. At least stick with them through the 4th of July weekend and see what happens. Typically I would feel much better in longer duration, longer 60 days or 90 days instead of 3 weeks. But that's my answer. Ryan. Quantum. Thank you, Lee. Hello, Frank, Keith. Line Phantom Storm Duty. Don't touch the electricity. All right, so I didn't miss many questions. Just hoping this is how yeah, exactly. I think there's a chance that this Asian group, for lack of a better description, is real for Finger. They may, there's no guarantee. By the way, I should say it before we start. This is all educational purposes, not financial advice. I don't know you personally. Everything I say that's negative is in my opinion. Everything I say, I guess positive, is also in my opinion. Everything's in my judgment. So if I express something negative about a company or even a person's ideas, behavior, you got to do your own opining about it. So I am telling you there's a chance. Hey, Jennifer, I have Ryan, I have 100 July, 21 $4 and 121 $5, and I'm keeping them. Well, if the stock's trading, let's say $3, I don't. Let's just see how. Let's just see. Because look, Ryan, if the stock trades at 3 all the way through expiry date, probably we can buy at that time. You can buy 100 of the August in each case at the same price. What I'm noticing is you're paying a lot of premium right now to go to August. So it's just a risk. I mean, it's just the fact, Jack. Buying these things is a risk. But you're risking, what, 20 cents, 25 cents? What if Finger goes to 20, 25, 30, $40? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right, Lee Wills, you don't have to shut up. I'm the one who should shut up. But if I shut up, who would talk? I got to figure that out. I got to figure out how to do that. Let me look, Lee. GTII, of course. You know, this was just incredible. Some of the information I learned, I didn't, I'm not trying to be know-it-all. I didn't learn that much new, but I did learn that there's trillions of dollars worth, or even just trillions of failures to deliver overseas in Germany, where they screwed up our election, including bonds, by the way. It's not but huge trillions. I'm not talking about 1 trillion. It's dozens of trillions. It's just incredible. I also learned from Pedro about that REDI system, which Goldman Sachs has installed, which means, because I remember, you had to call down to the desk, or if you were a boiler, one of these guys, you'd have to call into your prime broker. Now you just set it up. You get a letter from an attorney saying, hey, okay, and you can sit in your villa in Lake Como and just flood the market with shares directly through the Goldman Sachs Ready system, or Wedbush or whatever. Never speak to a human being. It's just awful. It's just awful. That's what Pedro talked about. Who's Entercom? I think Entercom is the best oil and gas conference in the world. It's Denver. They do everything from investor relations to helping with presentations. They have a Dallas conference as well. They used to reach out to London and San Francisco. And anyway, I'm really dear friends with the founder of Entercom. I value my friendship with him. He sold the company. He's still actively involved. But Entercom, I've been a friend of Entercom for, I don't know, 25 years. Maybe it's more than that. Long time. Long time. Semperini. This video is sponsored by Entercom. No, I got to make sure. I'm not sure that they would. It's not their advice at all. Anything I'm saying is just me, myself, and I. But they have a service called. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's called 365 degrees. Let me see if I can find it. Which, if you're in the yeah, it's called Oil and Gas 360. You can sign up for it. They have this, the Oil and Gas 360, and it gives the stories on the events. And I just saw it. Thank you for reminding me. I have to register for that conference. I will. Wow. Jennifer, I mean. I Googled NXBH and there is something trading on the German market. That is a huge warning sign. They're going to try, in my judgment, to create a ticker that's trading and continue to hide the failures to deliver. You may be right. Your instincts may be right that it's related to NBH, Jennifer. Did they email this? I just checked Webill and can't find where to sign. I don't know, Mexican. Charlie Mack, I live in a city that if you wear a flag, you can be misunderstood for being a Republican. How about this? How about if I put that on? Is that good? Is that good, Charlie Mack? How about if I put that on? Is that all right, Charlie Mack? If your July calls, Ryan, aren't close to the strike price, you can roll them, but it's going to cost you money. And so I've got to call in, and I'll ask that question of Ham. You want to listen to Ham more than you listen to me, because the hamster knows what he's talking about, sir, more than I do. I know how to trade options, but I'm a geek at it compared to him. Compared to Ham, get it? Compared to him. I wonder if Ham instead of identifying as a him, I wonder if Ham identifies as a ham. And Jenny Rebecca, 4 days old. I love my Republican friends, and I think there should be more. When I put up, anyway, I would never put up a Trump sign outside my house. I would be invaded right here. But I remember traveling the country for business when Hillary was running against Trump. I never saw a Hillary sign anywhere around the country except in my city. But Ryan, in general, I think because of the premiums, it might be you're going to spend a premium. You spend more money to roll out to August. So why not just at least move a little further along in July and then just start anew? I don't think it's going to be that much difference in money. I do love you even though you're a Republican. I don't have any problem with the Republicans except for Mitch McConnell. All right, let me call in. Are you ready? Yes, they can cancel your GTC orders at any time.
Goodbye. Hold, let me call you right back.
All right. I was talking to myself. Yeah, Big Orange, thank you. That's one thing about Republicans. You always can look beyond views. And I was just saying, it's great to have Ace here. You guys got to listen to him. He's quite thoughtful. I've never seen him rattled. I've never seen him get worked up at a question. You know, like I never do. Grandpa bought a rubber. That's a Steve Martin joke. Ace. You don't have to thank me, Ace. You have I usually, by the time I'm done, I'm worn out talking about it, so I can't listen very long. But you have a great channel and a great message, and you have the positivity of youth. I know you don't feel young, but you are, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Ace is awesome. Yeah. See, now I'm getting jealous. Jennifer listens to his videos. No, Ace is great. And, yeah, the camera stand. That's just because you have kids. That's just because you have responsibilities. I like how you make sure you answer everyone's questions. You have a lot of knowledge, and you're able to stick to your calls. I think sometimes I get it's my own fault. I know what and when you're investing, you have to have an overall thesis. Why are you in it? Why is this situation something you accumulate? And I don't know when Finger's going to run or GTI's going to run. I have a feeling Finger could run next week or the following week because the setup's there. And GTII could go with it. But it could be September. So I think I get anxious and upset when I know people are losing money and are being screwed by the system. I mean, listening to Wes Christian, a lawyer, not just me BSing, saying that he's got this hard evidence. I think he said 20 or 30 trillion failures to settle over in Germany, etc. Trillion. This is a problem. At the end he said, this is what was the word? Not devastating. He said anyway, I can't remember the word he used, but he said began with a C. I can't remember, but he basically said this is an enormous problem. It's huge, and it's not just the United States. It's the world. It's worldwide. I'm getting happy feet. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ham is supposed to. He just told me to... maybe he changed the call time. It's 2:30. He called me... told me 2 o'clock, but it's 2:30, so it's a 2:30 call. Let's see if Busy is having a space going right now. We can listen to some of it. That's why I bet he changed it to 2:30, because Busy might be. I can't get in this one. I'm looking for Busy. I can't find it. Confess your secrets with Sarah. Yes, yes, yes. I see. I see your point. I see your point. This is still going on. I can't tell. I can't tell if Busy's having a space or not. So we'll just leave that alone. Busy's not. All right. Thank you, Jenny. He just shot down 2:30 for him. All right. So that's why it wasn't 2 o'clock. What's going to happen, I call into him, and I think Busy puts it on the space. So Ace is the place for the space, and Busy is the brand for the land. And ham is a ham. So I forget what we're talking about. RC LaBelle. You got up at 4:30 a.m. to watch yesterday's stream. Awesome. RC LaBelle, I was feeling quite awkward or remorseful afterwards. I think I got a little worked up. Jenny said I was clenching my teeth. And anyway, thank you. I'm Busy is awesome. Hey, Marcella Mena. I also think there was some sort of clashing back and forth for a while, but I think Drew Diligence does a good job. Junk Savvy. Yeah, my rhymes. You know, Jenny, some people have a way with words, and some people not have a way, I guess. That's also Steve Martin. The new Pack quarterback sucks. I don't know anything about football. Marcella, just like you say, it's a screaming buy, not buy right now. I think so. But I can't give advice, and I said that earlier, so if I fail to say it every time, I feel like I've notified you that I can't give advice. WETG. All right, Lee is obsessed with WETG. I'm not recommending WETG. I think you should, if you're looking to punt, I think the stock to do is Finger right now. Well, here's the trade that Lee wants you to see. It went from nothing up to over $20, but it was flat. They drove it down and just drove it down and 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 drove it down. And then it has a bump up on volume, and then they're able to come in and sell it off. But how would you have traded that stock? I think if you believed in it, you would start buying down here, and you'd say, well, eventually it's going to go back up. Right now, I would guess if it crossed the 50-day moving average, you might get another move. But I don't see any reason to buy this stock. I really don't see any reason to buy it. It moved in one day, it moved from, I don't know, $5 to $20 and the next day it sold off, and right now it's at 9.45. If it crosses $11 with volume, maybe it'll run to 20 and run on up. It used to be as high as 80, but I don't see it getting there, and I don't recommend trading WETG. But as we'll hear, I'm going to ask Cam. He may know something, and he'll say it out, and I've got it down. Now I know, Lee, you're not saying to buy it right now. It just did 450x. Well, I think a lot of these stocks that the Chinese group did, and I know somebody did a lot of work on it. I don't want to take away from his work, but when I first started talking about the squeezes in GTI and others, I did a lot of research on past squeezes, and I pulled out a lot of charts. I even did a video showing a bunch of them. Of course, I don't have any sophistication to my videos. But I noticed that in all cases of strong squeezes, that the minimum was 10 to 15x. Minimum. Now, the question was, I tried to pick with my own eyes where it broke out. That was, I think, subjective. But I tried to be honest with myself. Okay, it broke out here, and then I took it to the peak. The peaks are objective. You can see the peak and everything. It's right there. But it's hard to tell exactly where you define the breakout. But anyway, every stock I looked at, when it went up at least 15, 20x, maybe a little bit less, but the sweet spot was kind of 15 to 20x, maybe 25, 30. But so many of them went up 100x. And then in the really powerful ones, they went up 1,000 times or more. So that's why when I give my numbers in a spike, always in a spike, in a short, they're so high because they're out there. The examples are out there. I don't think a technician's chart is going to show what can happen, for example, in Finger, if all that criminality over in Germany and elsewhere has to be covered because someone in Hong Kong is putting massive orders in to buy, and the criminals don't have time to move the trades, and all of a sudden they're being hit with closeouts. Who can say how high it goes? Anyway. Yeah, all right, I'll look at, that was a daily chart, Lee, but what I showed everyone was from stock charts, not from bar charts. So stock charts I like, but I don't know the definition of algorithmic, but it adjusts it for price. I don't want to waste any more time on WETG. Sorry. HKD RC LaBelle was huge, and it's possible, we can't guarantee it, but it's possible that the same group who invested in HK, well, let me think that through. To my memory, HKD was organized by Loop Capital, LOOP, out of Chicago, just down the hall, so to speak, from Citadel. So I'm not sure that this group's name is on it, but I think they participated. Anyway, HKD TOP, others, all just went massively. And it's potential that Finger could go. I would ask, for example, I would ask Ace, if you're thinking about it, somebody bought a lot of Finger over, let's say, 2 weeks. Volume in the 14 million range, approximately, maybe more. There was a huge buyer, or more than one. Was it us? Was it we that bought all that? I'm not sure that we had. Maybe we bought 100,000, 500,000. If you're lucky, maybe we bought 750,000. So I'm not saying that I know for sure, but somebody was buying. And if you think about it, if it's a professional buyer and you're just building a position for your portfolio or on behalf of your wealthy clients, would you just let it stop right there? Would you stop if you know that if you stop, the criminals out of Germany and out of New York, and they're just everywhere around the globe, sitting in their underwear, and Gensler comes after us and Forbes comes after us, and the FINRA, but they don't do anything about this. But if you don't go all the way, if you don't keep buying, you know that these people, the malefactors, are going to they're just going to come in and sell. If you don't defend your position, they're going to come and destroy it like termites underneath the kitchen. So I just think whoever was buying is going to continue buying out of strategery. I know, NJ, the Dominion servers were in Germany, and we can't risk upsetting anybody, but the information out of Germany before the late night ballot dumps and the late night electronic changes in voting results in Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada, Maine, Pennsylvania. When the data came out of Germany, when it first came out, Trump won by a landslide on the scale of Ronald Reagan's win over Dukakis. I think it wasn't Dukakis, over Walter Mondale. And then, as George H.W. Bush would refer to them, jackbooted thugs went in and took all those servers, and all of a sudden, the election went for the most popular president in the history of the elected president in the history of the United States. 81 million votes. He couldn't get 5 Jeeps to show up in the circles of new voters, so they filled Jeeps with campaign staff to honk at him while he gave his speech. Anyway, people are happy with corrupt elections because Biden beat Trump, because Trump is odious, according to Christina Vanden Heuvel. What goes round comes round. I hope you like it when there's an election that goes the other way, when the deep state and the powers that be want to get Santinas from Florida elected, and you're rooting for Biden or Hillary Clinton, and all of a sudden you're angry because it seems like DeSantis shouldn't have won. I think the answer is fair elections, one day, paper ballots. They do it in the UK. They do it in Canada. We can do it. And fair. Do you hear what I'm saying? I'm saying fair elections. I'm not saying the result should be Trump or the result should be Joe Biden. I'm saying elections in the United States of America should be fair and transparent. And I don't think that's what happened last time. I think the election was stolen, both at the presidential level and at the Senate level and at the House level. It's just how I feel about it. Georgia was corrupt. If you tell me Georgia is blue, I think you might be pink or something. I don't know. There's no way Georgia's blue. I've been there. There's no way. They made fun of me down there because I was a Democrat. Anyway, let's get off of politics. After all, I just got off of yours. So I just want everyone to know I'm calling for a Djokovic-Korda final. Djokovic-Korda. We'll see what happens. I don't think USA is the most corrupt country in the world. I don't think you'd want to live in Botswana or Egypt, or I don't think the United States is the most corrupt country in the world. We still, out of our 10 First Amendment, right? Our 10 amendment, the Bill of Rights, basically the first 10 amendments. There's some that have still survived the onslaught, which I'm afraid comes from China, but you can't prove it. But money comes around the world to corrupt our politicians and the banks. And I'm sad to say it, but I think a large swath of the Democratic Party is corrupt. I also think Mitch McConnell is corrupt. He's married to the Secretary of Transportation, who Trump put into power. And Mitch McConnell went from being a rather normal Kentuckian to being really wealthy. And I think he's bought. So I think the whole, as they call it, uniparty, or the deep state, is corrupt. And I listened to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and as much as I think it's a guy like Trump who has the courage to take on the system, RFK, pretty powerful stuff. You should listen to his video about the border. 7 million people have come in from the border. RFK Jr. went down there. He went to Yuma and then over to the border. He said you'd expect that the people crossing the border were from Mexico or South America. No, they were from West Africa, Somalia, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, China. What's the thought process? He spent more time down there than the czar, Kamala Harris. RFK Jr. talked about and he watched it. There was a tree across the river where the cartels control this immigration now. The cartels. This is under Joe Biden? This is under Democrats, and we support it? The tree's called the rape tree. Rape. R-A-P-E. Not rape seed. Rape. The women and the families and the little girls, they lose all their money to the cartels, and then they're raped there before they're sent over. And this is a policy we as Democrats want to support because we hate Trump and Trump's odious. Come on. 7 million people. They don't check them for anything. They take a fingerprint. if there's an arrest record, if there's no arrest record, fine. They put them on the phone to, if you know someone in the United States, the customs officer or whoever, Border Patrol, puts them on the phone. Hi, do you know this person? Can you put them in a room? Great. And then they're put on a plane paid for by the taxpayer to fly around the country. You know why the Democrats are doing it? To change the vote. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it, the risk to the country. But hey, what goes round comes round. If we're letting them do it now, just wait when it happens the other way. All right, so I have to call in shortly. Well, Spiny, it's not sealing the border. You can have, and by the way, I think legal immigration is the way to go. And just to be clear, Spiny, there's a book you can read. It's called Tomato Land. Tomato Land. The current system where migrant workers come over and are abused by wealthy businesses, wealthy holders in Florida and Texas is inexcusable. Inexcusable. It is inexcusable to allow people to come over as indentured servants or even slaves and put their health at risk. They don't even have access to, they come over here and make some money, but they have what can only be described as slave lords above them taking the money. It's inexcusable, Spiny. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying to say that people shouldn't have rights if they work here, but it should be legal. It should be, there should be a process, and they should get benefits and protections. That's, anyway. There should be immigration reform. They do the work Americans don't want to do. Fine. But there's a story in that book. What they do for your tomatoes at McDonald's, every year down in Florida, they with migrant workers, they destroy all the vegetation. And then these migrant workers have to stand in the spray, the poisons, the anti-insecticides. I can't think of the word. That pesticides are pouring over these people while they're working. They destroy every bit of vegetation, every insect. Then they plant it. And then they spray all the fertilizers and industrial fertilizers, chemicals, and these people have to work in them. There's a story in there of a young, I don't know if they were Mexican or another country, but a young man and a young woman who fell in love. They had to live in the heat of these sweltering trailers. Bernie Sanders went down. No one else did. Watch his commercial. But they had to live in the heat, no air conditioning, no food. They work long hours. This couple got married. They had a baby. No arms, no legs. No arms, no legs. The current system is criminal and it's evil. But I'm not sure that just letting people cross the border with no more than, hey, great, makes sense either, Spiny. I'm not sure. 7 million people? I'm not sure that makes sense. And there's, anyway, let's just talk about something else. Ace is the place. I'm getting based. You know, the cat zone, there was a guy that I followed, and I can't remember him. He was very interesting to listen to. But he always used that term based. In my generation, we would call it biased. But maybe based means something else. He would say people are based. I don't know what it means. Yeah, I'll get back to sticks, Sarah. I'll get back to sticks. All right, let me call in. Speaking of sticks. I'm ready. I'm ready. The hamster's here. Hamster's in the house.
William, again, everybody welcome. It's Friday, and we got a nice weekend ahead, except for the half a day on Monday. But again, this is not to buy or sell. This is to expose security fraud. And I guess everyone's getting a little dose of it from all over the place today with West Christian. I didn't listen to the call. I was at motor vehicles. I got my car inspected. But again, William, maybe you can give us some highlights of the call. Maybe you can just fill me in, and I can answer.
Well, the call was maybe 1,300 people. It was sponsored by Roger, Junk Savvy, and then West Christian came on, and it was an excellent call. Without taking away from West Christian, most of what you, Ham, have been trying to teach us over the last months and years is what he talked about. But the advantage was that he loves evidence. And my gosh, he had so much to talk about in the terms of evidence. And it was great. One thing he said, Ham, that I wrote down that his father always said, if someone is turning the heat up on you, you must be close to your goal. And I would say the best part of his talk was when he came to it and he said, everybody, this is a call to duty. Don't stop. Call your congressman. Write your letters, because never in 20 years of West Christian's experience have we gained so much, I'm using my own words, gained so much traction and had so much momentum. And we're getting there. So he said, redouble your efforts.
Again, I try to tell people every day. I have friends that call the SEC every day, the whistleblower. We're doing our part. We've been to D.C. We physically handed out the information to, I don't know, hundreds. I gave out 300 to 400 pamphlets that we prepared to give out. We can't possibly do any more except tie him to a chair. That's basically, and talk until their ears bleed. But that's about all we can do. That's left. I believe they all know. They don't know how to fix it. This country's a disgrace for allowing this to go on for this long. But again, it's going to come to a head. Everyone understands it, and I think it's building momentum. I agree with Wes on that front.
Pedro Philly gave more of a comment, but he was very impressive, talking about how he was 30 years of institutional trading. He said we used to have to call into a broker. Now the REDI system, maybe you can talk about that.
Ready system was sold to Goldman Sachs, I forget what year, for $5 billion. And basically, it's a automated trading platform. My friends all work at Spear, Leeds, and Kellogg, SLK, very famous. They made $5 billion. Everyone that worked there became super rich, including my friend. I think he made $200 million. That was his piece on being part of that platform, which no one really gave a shit about back then. And everyone made fun of the transaction with Goldman, but it's just a trading platform. Remove the brokers, the phone calls out of the equation, and everyone's doing it now. Everyone has a version of a Ready Plus system. So the technology is basically outdated, but everyone that set the tone for what's going on.
The other thing and so in other words, you can sit in Timbuktu and just flood the market with orders without talking to any, without any oversight. The other thing, go ahead.
Once you have a prime broker, it'll accept your liability. That's all they care about. That's it.
The other thing he mentioned, which you might know about, is he mentioned, and I haven't, for example, he went through the list. Goldman Sachs, 4 million orders. It was 60 billion shares. Of course, you don't know which stocks, but he said that in Europe, primarily through this thing, I think it's called Eurotrade. I can't find my notes. They found trillions, not just stocks, also bonds, but it was tens of trillions of failed to delivers. And this, he at the end of the call, he said this situation is staggering, and it's not a threat just to the United States; it's a threat worldwide.
I've told you before, the DTC wherever the DTC has their fingers, that's where their threat is. The DTC has not taken over the Middle East yet, and that's why we were looking to do an exchange there. That's the only place they haven't put their dirty little fingers in there. Whenever they get involved, this is what happens. So we all know about it. It's not like we don't know about it. They're stealing, looting, destroying, and I don't know how anything's even standing up at this point. It's just amazing. They kill technologies. It's insane what you see. And, yesterday was a deal in a biotech. I mean, that may be the deal of the future, where these small biotechs become partners with a drug company, take a buyout price, but then take a lot of it on the back end. So they basically... So the biotech will buy your company and say, okay, if you do what you're saying, we'll give you more later on, it's a good idea, because this way these small biotechs that have all been destroyed, they can actually be acquired by the bigger firms and get away from the fraud street, and the destruction of the technology. I gave you the one yesterday, TOVX, Tom Oscar Victor X-ray, pancreatic cancer. Who in their right mind wants to short or destroy any company that's working on pancreatic cancer? Steve Jobs would have done anything to still be alive today from pancreatic cancer. Not here. The stock it was 120. They knocked it down to 83 cents today. The FDA is backing them. No one gives a shit. Hopefully everybody just dies from it. That's the message that the hedge funds are saying. The stock should be 20, raised $1 billion, hired doctors, scientists, nurses, whatever they have to do to try to save people from pancreatic cancer or dying. But no one cares.
He said, just like, it sounds almost like you when you say settle the trades, but he said, you must deliver what you sell. What other market can you sell something you don't deliver? And then he said, the money that they make off of stock lending and lending shares that don't exist is just staggering. Just staggering.
Well, you got to remember, they put a buffer out there. The stock loan business is unregulated. It's the Wild West. Anybody can do what the hell they want. They make up their own numbers. They give out as many shares as they want. When a stock gets squeezed, like Beyond Meats or Peloton gets squeezed at $300 or $200, there's no more shares to lend out. It's all locked in, but yet someone always sells at the top and makes a fortune on the way down. Obviously, it's the bigger players that they control it.
Can you repeat that? Can you just repeat that last three sentences, because you faded out?
I said the stock loan. Just remember that when a stock like Beyond Meat or TLRY, I forget the name of it. It was a bot company, Tilray. These things went to, oh my God, it's $1. These things went to $200-$300. There's no stock. Who can short it at those levels? Everyone's screaming, let me borrow a share. We all know it's short squeeze, but you can't borrow them. So who the hell's shorting them at the top? It's the Citadels, the guys with the market maker exemption. No, they won't get bought in. And they're the ones that make all the money from the short squeeze. No one else can do it. You can't borrow it. If you did have a connection to a stock loan guy, you better show up with a bag of cash and pay them off. Hey, here's $100,000. Give me 300,000 shares so I can short at $3. And this way, when it drops, you make yourself $1 million. You give the guy $100,000 in cash. That's how it's done.
It's unbelievable.
That's stock loan on Wall Street. What do you got? Anybody want to know? Ask John Tobacco. Ask him how it works.
Unbelievable.
I'm sure there's plenty of people he knows that are taking cash payments. He'll give out the names of the people. Everybody knows how it's done.
He said that back when they didn't have Reg Show and the big we, got that in place. It was toothless, he said, but it at least legitimized that this short selling is happening. There were many companies back then on the threshold list. Now there's only a few. They got the grandfathering of fails to deliver eliminated, but there's still that one exemption, which is the bona fide market maker, which he doesn't think there are any bona fide market makers anymore. He said, so they mark tickets long, which is just a disguised short sale. Basically, it's just more lies. Their dissemination of false info, they disseminate false info in many ways. That was part of what he talked about.
Well, again, anyone who writes a ticket, Goldman Sachs has more money than anyone. And their computers, or Citibank, or Bank of America, or Jeffries, all these guys, Merrill Lynch, they always say they had the system failure. They have all the money in the world, yet they always have system failures, and they pay a fine. That's what they do. They need to lock whoever is in charge of that division up and watch how fast it ends. There'll be no more system failures. They can use their money, and that's the way it should be done. But what can we say? But unless we fight back, okay, unless we fight back, you're all wasting your time and your money. Take your money and go buy and open up a hot dog stand. You're better off.
He said that he's never seen. I see what he said. He said he's never seen where we made so much progress like this in 20 years. And the group the clearing out of Europe is called Euroclear, I think. Anyway, so.
Well, there was an old story in the Bloomberg about I forget, Euro magazine did a story about that. I think it's in the movie, Christina Copeland's movie, Euroclear. You could see them speak about it. I just posted a story about Canaccord, a Canadian brokerage firm, is going to be sanctioned for their market maker activities. Canaccord, it's a Canadian brokerage firm looting the U.S. market. CSTI, for those who don't know their symbol. If you go to OTC markets or on your level 2, you can actually see their name, CSTI, Canaccord. They're naked short sellers. Everyone does it, gives them orders, and they loot the U.S. And they just said they're putting away money to pay off their fines. Okay, no big deal. They've looted their clients. They've been stealing, and for years, it's right there.
So maybe just because I don't know how long people are going to listen, maybe it's a good time to talk about. Here's a question: why wouldn't Lynn Partners or the other criminals just create other LLCs, continue to sell, and maybe you can bring in Finger and GTII or whatever you want to talk about.
They are doing that.
The point is, will it ever end? That's this guy's question.
Yes. If they thought they could win, they would let the stocks go higher. Okay? That's all you need to know. All they're doing is, kiting checks or, paying one credit card to pay off another one. They all come to an end. Okay? I can't tell you the day, but there's enough pressure. Wes Christian's banging down the doors. Okay? He's involved in Finger. He's involved in GTII. You can see all the pressure is mounting. The brokerage firms, I actually took a quote from Frankie Nez's story. He says, Congress knows about naked short selling. We know that. We were there, William. You know that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about it. So they all know about it. Each day that goes by, they get educated. Each day that goes by, they know about Finger, MMTLP, GTII. They know about us. There's other names circling around, but we've been here for a long time, and they know who we are. We will continue to expose them until they're caught and locked up like rats that they are.
See,
Okay,
it's everywhere. One person is pointing out that MMTLP, MMAT, Torchlight is the motherlode, and he talked about that. But he couldn't get into specifics per se. But
so let me just tell you about that. Okay, I don't know anything about MMAT. I know nothing about it. I followed MMTLP since it started trading. Everybody was following me about it. So I don't really know how big. I really didn't study the names. I've studied the names GTII and FNGR for years. Not 2 weeks, not a week. I'm not guessing. I've been doing it a long time. So I'm pretty confident that I'm pretty close to whatever numbers we're saying. I'm pretty accurate, I believe. All right. So West Christian and the lawyers and Share Intel. Trust me, these guys are doing data, but they're not exactly. They can't tell if they're selling and buying back. You can't tell. We studied finger motion every day. I studied PTII every day. I can tell when they're selling, washing, or covering. We can see the selling. We can see the wash trades. We never see them buying back. Okay? We don't see it. We watch the trades. If you were short 100 million shares of GTI or even 5 million shares, when you start covering it back here, they don't cover back any. Finger motion. These guys just laid into us millions of shares. Millions. They don't buy back. There's 400 shares off at a 295. That's them selling more. They can't buy it back because if they start buying it back, they're the only sellers. So these are stocks that we studied. This is not, I don't study Overstock. I got a call that Overstock was going to run. The stock was $19.50, $19.5. I put it up, buy some cheap calls. I didn't study it. I didn't even know what the story was. But I told everybody. And today it's gone up from 19 to 32. It's up another $2 today. Okay, I didn't study it, so I can't tell you what the hell's going. I don't know it. I pass. I just I see the names. I know where they are, and that's about all I can see. So again, we studied the other ones inside out, up, down, sideways, and that's very different than being a lawyer. Okay, a lawyer does different things, but we study the stocks. I'm sure your friend Pedro from Philly, was that his name? Peter from Philly?
Pedro. Yeah.
He can tell you exactly the same thing that I see. We're probably the same person.
I guess this Canaccord was, according to Busy, was one of the market makers who got MMTLP traded. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so a Canadian market maker helped get a fraudulent symbol and got a trading for their clients. Think about that.
Unbelievable.
We can't do it to a Canadian firm, but they could do it to us. How the U.S. allows outside broker dealers like UBS, for example, United Bank of Switzerland, Credit Suisse. How are they letting these guys destroy the U.S. equity markets? Deutsche Bank destroyed the U.S. equity markets. Okay? These are the type of places that are just naked shorting like crazy into our equity markets.
Maybe that's because we sold Germany all those credit default swaps in 2008.
Yes, payback is a bitch, right?
Yeah.
But again, this is how stupid it is that the U.S. has allowed the whole world, terrorists. We don't even know who the faces are. They're terrorists, as far as I'm concerned. Lock them up.
It's horrible.
But the longer this goes on, all the American people on this phone call, your family, your friends, your kids, they're all going to get robbed. That's it. I can't. We're doing our part to fight the battle on two stocks.
Well, tell us what you would do right now if you can't give financial advice, but if you want to put $100 or $200, $500 to work, what would you recommend with Finger right now if you want to talk about it?
No, of course I like to talk about it. I think Finger Motion is in the launch pad. It switches back and forth. GTI, Finger, it goes back and forth. But Finger Motion, thanks to Benchmark's $5 target price on the stock, has now shown us that the upside, the the bottom of the stock is $5. So why would anybody sell it down the way they've been doing it, right? So how do you take advantage of what you're seeing, all right? The stock was 4.5, moving towards 5, but yet the naked short sellers, Lynn Partners and Friends, drove it down to 250. So now you got $2.50 to make back up to the upside, all right? They created this opening. We call it an arbitrage spread, all right? The benchmark did their report, said it's worth $5 conservative. All right, so that's their target. Conservative is $5. The stock is $3. You can make $2 just based on that report. That's how Wall Street looks at research reports. Hey, this guy thinks it's worth $5. He did his legwork. He spoke with management, and I can see that I can make $2 on this play. If the stock is stronger and it has more, it's conservative. Hey, you know what? Maybe the upside is 7 to 10 based on fundamentals. That's how research reports are read. All right. So here he is. We have an opportunity. It's undervalued right now. If it was Home Depot, it would be undervalued. If it was Apple, it would be undervalued. But in Finger's case, it's undervalued due to security fraud by the naked short sellers. And they attacked and created a bigger spread. Okay? This is not my numbers. I didn't put down a $5 target. My number is different, but their target is 5, and to me, that's a spread of $2 in it. That's a free shot to anybody that the stock is going north of 5, based on fundamentals. Now we go back to the fraud side of this thing. Okay, so how do you play this thing if you think there's going to be a big upward surge in the stock? Okay, I was an option trader. Okay, if you buy the stock, you have to put up $3 a share. Okay, but if you think you got a feeling about the timing of when this thing is going to take off, options is the way to play. Okay, you got to understand the timing. What's the timing on it? Well, all the activity in the options has been in July. So there's no puts trading, so no one's betting it's going down. And all the option buying has been in July calls. The July calls are obviously cheaper than the August calls because there's not that much time premium. So the July calls are pretty much the place to be. So you can actually, I'll just show you, if you were to buy, let's say, I'll make up an example. Let's say you bought the July 6 calls at $25 or 25 cents, as we call it. You could buy 10 calls times 25, it's $250, and you control 1,000 shares of stock at $6.25 is your break even. If it goes above $6.25, you have 1,000 shares of stock. All right. So for $250, all right, you can own 1,000 shares of stock for 20 something days, right? Till July 21st.
Right.
Okay, you got for $250. You could buy 1,000 shares of stock for $3,000. But you see the difference? Options give you leverage. Instead of putting up $3,000, you could put up $250 if you believe the stock is going to move in a certain period. It's like playing roulette. We got to hope it hits in a certain period, right? You got to hope that's the time it's going to go.
Right.
The recent activity in the stock and the spike up to 450 before they drove it down tells me the activity is here. I don't know what second it's going to go, but it tells me this thing is getting active and volatile. Something is going to break here soon. Okay, we saw them try to push it down, and that attempt is now stopped. I mean, where are they going with it? We all know. So once they take the volatility out of it, I look for this thing to go sideways and then begin to march back up. Okay, if the short sellers panic, we put up the data. It's north of 150 million now. We watched them naked short in the last, I forget how many days, maybe 8-9 days. Almost 1 million shares a day. So with the numbers grown from 140 something to 150. Okay, the numbers go up quickly when you keep selling these numbers. All right, so if at $4, we watch them in a panic, sell it down as quick as possible, and the only reason they sold the stock down is not because they're our friends. They're not looking to say, hey, William, I want to sell you 1,000 shares. Instead of selling to you at 4, I'm going to give you the good price of $2.60. I'm going to save you $1,400. That's how nice Lynn Partners is. They're doing it because they can't afford to hold it, because they have margin problems. Okay? That's why they attack it, and that's why they attack it fast. They're not doing it. They're not knocking it down because they're our friends. Remember, if they thought they can win, they let the stock go higher. I said on the call the other day with William, if I was in charge, if I was the naked short seller, I would have dragged this stock up to $7, $8, and then beat the shit out of everybody who's involved. 7, pushing it down, you create a panic. People will be screaming, "What's going on? I just bought 10,000. It's 7. It's 4, 3. What's going on?" And that's how you destroy investors. Rob them blind. But these guys were nice. They couldn't take it up. They went straight down. They don't want anybody to pay more. They had to sell it to you cheaper. They had to stop the momentum. They could not let it go higher. That is your sign that you have somebody in trouble. You got that?
Yep.
Good, Bill?
Yep. So I'm going to ask 2 separate questions quickly so you can talk about them both. One is, when or should you roll your calls to August, or isn't it safer just to buy the August calls? That's one question. The second one is this group, this Asian group maybe, or somebody has been buying shares, maybe 12 million shares. Do you think they're going to stop? or
Yeah, they just went in and stopped.
Or are they going to defend? I mean, if they stop, the shorts are going to cannibalize their position.
No, listen, number one, I think the Asian group is serious, and I think they know what they're doing. I can't speak for them. I can only tell you my gut feeling. These guys, there's many people I've met, and I believe they're serious, and, they smell blood. Wall Street, when the guy from The Big Short bought GameStop, or the guy from Bed Bath & Beyond, what's the guy's name, Brian Cohen, they didn't buy GameStop because they played video games. They smelled blood. Hedge fund blood in trouble. It's the same thing. Pick a language. It's the same thing. When someone's dying, people are going to take advantage of them. That's just the way it goes on Wall Street. All right? If you're short, you're running out of money, they're going to squeeze you. If you're long and you have no more money, they're going to drive it down and make you panic out. That's the game. All right? And the people understand the fraud here. We have the data, the proof. We showed it to the SEC. We called the SEC. The truck was in front of Lynn, Fox, CNBC, DTC, DOJ, FBI, SEC. We've done everything possible to expose this. The story is well known. We know who it is. They're toxic lenders. Once you pay off their note, the toxic lender is exposed. GTII and Finger Motion have paid off the toxic lender. They have no right to any stock in the companies. They cannot do anything. The only thing that's happening now is they're both stuck. They're short and they're wrong. Okay? And we all know about it. And that's the difference.
And Asia, right? If Asia's playing this group, they're big enough to counteract all the crap these guys do.
The guys in Asia know they know the what would you like it to say? The risk reward in these names. Let's leave it that way.
Okay.
Okay. When they step in, or when are they going to charge or do what they want? That's up to them. But the only way they can make money is to buy stock, right? So obviously, when they do step in, you will see it. You'll see. I believe that once big players step in here, you will not get an opportunity to play. It'll be bang, zoom, see you later. That's how I feel about it. Sideways action is great. The shorts hate it. They can't stand it. Look at Finger Motion. It moved up to 320 today after the quick assault, and they come right back down offering 1,500, 800. there's always a seller. That's your sign that that's the shorts. There's always somebody who's got as soon as you take the offer, another guy jumps in with 100. Remember, they can't let it go up. That's the most important thing. They cannot let it go up.
So right now, and they keep moving around, but right now you could buy the July calls for 25 cents, and one gentleman's saying, isn't it safer to buy the August? Well, the August $5 calls cost 50 cents. So
I look at it this way. If the stock's going to move, I believe it's going to move now. All right, that's my belief. You take it with a grain of salt, that's what I believe. So to me, I've always been a front month option player. It's not even July yet, to the gentleman. August calls are safer, but they're twice as expensive. If the stock is not going to move, okay, then those August calls will be half the price, maybe, even less in 30 days. In which case you can get the same option at a cheaper price.
Right.
The same thing.
That's right.
So I believe it. I believe it's showtime now. That's how it looks to me. Based on, the trading patterns, the volatility. Everyone says this thing is ready to go. Everybody that I know in the professional world. We can't make it happen. Accumulation. I've always believed in accumulation will lead to higher prices, and I still believe in that. I told you spikes. They attack the spikes. But when big players come in and they attack the spikes, as a retail investors, we all go broke. We're not Fidelity Management. We don't have billions of dollars. When big boys show up and they have the money, and the shorts try to bash it down, these guys suck in everything they sell, and then they go higher. You sell it again, and they go higher. All right. If you look at all the great short Chinese squeeze stocks, you can see that they're well versed on how to play this game.
So Wes speculated that it's possible. This is a question one gentleman's asking. I'm elaborating initially. Wes speculated that U.S. banks are setting up offshore arms to take advantage of this loophole by selling from offshore. Is that possible?
That's a good question. I don't know if the bank should be doing that. I think they have too much to risk. I could see the banks investing in a hedge fund that does it. I can't see the banks actually doing it.
Okay.
Like a Stevie Cohen he invests in a hedge fund guy that does it. What he does, he gets his returns. That's not Stevie's problem. That's everybody invested in Fred Wilpon, who was invested in Bernie Madoff, right? All those people, right? They didn't care.
Well, he called it. No, who called it that? I think it was Pedro that called it that. The market maker exception. They used to call it the Bernie Madoff exemption.
Right. Mm-hmm. Listen, he was right about the one thing is they took away the uptick. They all complained that the program traders cannot they can't detect, an uptick versus, so that's why they removed it. Once they took away the uptick rule, for those who don't understand what that is, there used to be a rule that you couldn't short unless the stock had an uptick, meaning traded it higher. Right now, there is no uptick rule, so if you wanted to short, you could hit the stock at 95, 94, 93, 92, just keep going. And that's what the shorts are doing to us today in the equity markets. In the big names like Apple, when someone wants to do that, they always say, well, the institutions will step in and they'll level it out. We don't have institutions in the small stocks. So when they attack, there's no support. It's like they kicked over the doors of the castle and just running through. You feel those great, those Lord of the Ring movies where they break through, all the demons come running through the gates. That's what it's like. They just keep attacking.
It's unbelievable. It's so depressing. But by the way, Wes really highlighted, I guess Pat Byrne put out either an article or a video. I couldn't tell, but he put out a new piece. He encouraged everyone to read it or watch it, whatever it was. John Berta said it's a little depressing, but Wes said it's a must read. So that's Patrick Byrne just tweeted it. the other thing that Wes talked about is this all started when they turned share certificates to electric or electronic or whatever the hell you want to call it,
well,
not
they always
paper.
come out and they always say the same thing. Oh, the paperwork is too much. Electronic, when they transferred from physical to electronic, they always said there'll be no problems in delivery because it's all electronic. It's completely the opposite. It's 100 times worse. They want more trading activity, so they tried to make it so that it could be moved along faster. But with the extra activity, it became all the fraud.
What kind of human being? I understand the greed of the banks and some of these players to just push it to the limit. But what kind of individual would defend this or apologize for it, make fun of us, and say that this isn't really happening? What kind of human being?
Let me be 100% honest with you. Trading on Wall Street is about making money. You know, I didn't care when we were out there to get paid to make money. We just did what we had to do and didn't look back. At the end of the day, I was plus 5,000, 8,000, 30,000, whatever the number was. That was the game. The one thing I could never do, I never believed in, was short selling because I seen the damage of people losing their jobs over their stock price. It had nothing to do with anything with the company. I've seen companies fall by the wayside over the years, thousands of companies all disappearing. What happened to this company? What happened to this company? And then I started following stocks like Taser, who was actually helping the police, stop criminals without shooting them. Now, I would have just shot them. But again, the Taser was, to stun these people. And they used to write reports, the shorts, that the Taser was dangerous, you can't use it, and the police were buying them like crazy. So it was a big fight. They didn't even care about that going back in time until Taser finally squeezed them. All right, but then again, that's, they attacked everything. That was a guy trying to protect the police and protect people from getting shot. They instead of using a Taser, they fought and tried to get that, kill that company. They did the same thing to Elon Musk and Tesla. His batteries are no good. The company, they almost knocked him out. The stock was $24. How about EXAS? Eddie X-Ray Apple Sam. Exact Sciences. This is a company that does testing for colon cancer. All right? The stock was $20-something. Andrew left. The stock, it used to be called Stock Lemon. He's now Citron. This buffoon came out here and told everybody no one's ever going to use the service. It's a waste of time. CNBC actually put him on with the scientist from the company, the CEO. And yet they were attacking his stock, trying to knock it down. The company turned. I think Bristol Myers took a stake in it, or Pfizer, I forget, at $125. This was at $25, trying to kill a company that was testing for colon cancer. I'm just showing you, I've seen the destruction all over. The shorts come into these stocks and they believe it's their God-given right to try to destroy it with a story. Companies go out of business, they get destroyed over the same practice all the time.
This is a quick question, or maybe you make it longer, but someone has kept asking me, did you highlight WETG or mention it on Twitter? If so,
WETG.
I think it's Webull. I think it's Webull.
Yeah, We Trade Group. His stock was like, I put up the time. I put up this. It was 5 cents. It went to 10.
Okay, so you did.
I know nothing about it. Someone brought it to my attention. It shows the 52-week of 12 cents to 9,000. I think something happened there. I can't.
What was the name of it again? Because I talked over you.
We Trade. Excuse me. We Trade.
We Trade. Okay. And
I don't know what it is. It's at $10. It was. I put up the last month and a half of prices, and it was 4 cents, 5 cents, and it hit $10.
He was thinking it might represent a comparable to what could happen with Finger or GTII.
Let me just go over that for a second, because a couple of people asked me the same question today. The difference in GTI and Finger from all the other short squeeze stocks is that in Finger, we have these guys trapped below $4. That's where their short is. If you had to look at an iceberg, all the short is below $4. And GTI, I'll say it's below $1. All right? So the shorts are packed in here below 4 and below 1. These other stocks, when they spike, the shorts come into them as they spike. For example, let's say HKD, it would go from 7 to 20. The shorts would come in. They push it back to 10. Then it goes to 30. More shorts would come in. Push it down. Then it goes to 40. And all of a sudden, you got this big short position in it. When it pops to 50, that's when the shorts all panic. So now you're at $50 already. In our stocks, GTI and FNGR, we have them already here. The boat's loaded. We have all the criminals here already. Very different. We don't need the stock to go to 10 for more shorts to come in. When this stock pops out of the range, that's the end of the game. Nobody's going to stand in front of these rockets when it goes.
Okay, so somebody's asking, did you see the GameStop movie Dumb Money with Roaring Kitty?
No.
I didn't. Okay, and then Busy Brands, the brains behind everything, is asking, do you see RICO charges, but also have RICO charges ever been filed on Wall Street in the past?
I'm not an expert on security fraud all these years. I don't know, but I do believe that guys like that guy Savvy, who was using a naked short selling scheme, which is in the SEC's press release. I do believe something like that's going to be passed over to the DOJ. I think the DOJ is going to finally start grabbing the Savvies, the Linds, the Kramers, the low-hanging fruit type people, the toxic lenders. They're going to go after these guys. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. For example, in GTII is the easiest of the bunch. We know the Kramers, the toxic lenders. We know the prime brokers bad. Everything is surrounded on the short selling on GTI is all criminal activity. All of it. The prime broker, the DTC told us, the Kramers have got a history of doing this stuff. The whole thing is completely the dark side on everything. We put the truck in front of the SEC for 2.5 years, alerting them about the fraud. We said, follow the sell tickets. If the company was bad, they would have shut it down. So it's the other side. We give them every opportunity to follow the sell tickets to the money. All right? And we know it's not going back to the good side. It's all to the bad side.
Luke, join the dark side.
Right.
One of a really good listener points out that John Berta said it's on the table, the DTC and OTC, and called the DTC the mothership. It's not really a question, but maybe you have thoughts on the DTC being the mothership.
The depository trust is the whole backbone of the street. If they collapse, the whole system collapses. That is the mothership. They do everything they can to protect the mothership. I have press releases that I could put back up from 2004, I can't remember the exact dates, where the DTC had said that the Greg show was working. They wanted to drag all the heat away from them. They attacked. Hold on, I'll put it up for you right now. They attacked us at this gentleman. Yeah, I just put it up. The Greg show is happening. This is in January 23rd, 2006. Regulators say Reg show is working. That's the DTC press release. I took a photo of it back then. That's the DTC. Oh, everything's good. Don't worry about it. No, we're okay here. That's the DTC, U.S. settlement system. They got caught. We know it, and we've been tracking them since. I have another one here. I'll put another press release out. Yeah, the DTC. Hold on a second. Let's see, coming up. Hold on a second. The DTC. updated critique of Section 4.1 of Professor Finnery's paper, Short Selling Debt Spiral Convertibles and the Profitability of Stock Manipulation. They were going after this guy who wrote this report about it, Professor Finnery. It's still available. You can check it out, read his report. It's about everything that's going on now. We all know about it. They tried to smother it. That's the DTC. That's their headline. 124.06 DTC PR.
Amazing.
I mean, it's right there. They can't. I remember the guy's name was Thompson. We used to fight with him all the time, the head of the DTC. How could you say this stuff? We can see it. This is the depository trust. The DTC tries to throw all the negative stuff back out to the brokers. When GTI does a dividend, I put up the photo of the dividend. The brokerage firms hit a button to see how many shares they own internally. Then they call the DTC to see how many shares are at the DTC for them. So, for example, if E-Trade hits a button and says, oh, we own 10 million shares of GTII, how many shares are at the DTC, the physical shares for E-Trade? They call them up. E-Trade asks. The DTC says they have 1 million. E-Trade says, holy shit, we're long 10 million. We have a naked short of 9 million. How come they don't buy it in? Wall Street, they work together. They don't buy into fails to deliver. It's a brotherhood. Instead, E-Trade would rather give all its clients a fake dividend share than expose the short sellers. That's your own broker doing that for you. If you guys think that Robinhood was bad, E-Trade, Ameritrade, they all do it. They all give everyone a fake IOU dividend share. They created their own. And I was going to attack this point. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Bank of America, all of them. If Andrew Leff said that Etsy is selling counterfeit goods, is the clearinghouse for counterfeit goods, Etsy, then the brokerage firms are the clearinghouse for naked shorts, counterfeit shares. They should be destroyed just like Etsy has been destroyed. Etsy was $130, it's $85. They sell clothing online. If someone sells a counterfeit good, how does Etsy know? I mean, they obviously can do their legwork, but again, they shut it down, and the stock is down 50 points, 40 points from where it was when they did the story. Andrew Leff couldn't tell a counterfeit T-shirt from a counterfeit dollar bill, and he's out here writing a story on it. Okay, that is a story that is 100% was posted to kill the short, to help protect the short sellers because they were getting roasted on stock. Not even a question.
All right, so 2 questions totally related. One guy's saying, will Finger, I think he's talking about Finger, maybe GTI, will it dip before the rip? And the other question is, do you think they'll move at the same time or one moving?
The second question is the better question. Will they move at the same time? For some crazy reason, they do. I don't know why. I kind of hope one moves before the other so that I can actually position myself better. But they took off last time at the same time. I don't know. I think that what was the other one? Are they going to take?
Will it dip before the rip?
I hope not. I think you just had your dip, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The tack down to 260 was trying to get people to panic out and have people yell at me and say I gave them misinformation or whatever. I had a couple people saying that to me. Again, I don't control security fraud. If I did, the stock would never be down. Trust me, it would never go down. So
Busy Brands wants me to read you this, and I haven't read it, so I'm going to read it out to you. It's a tweet he put out. The corporate action, this is about MMTLP, the corporate action approved by SEC Chairman Gensler guaranteed 2 trading days, 1-for-1 into NextBridge shares, 2 quote-unquote be made whole. A written guarantee approved by SEC is an enforceable contract. Is FINRA liable for tortious interference for interfering with the corporate action? Did FINRA violate RICO laws? Ari Rubenstein, Robert W. Cook, and Gary Gensler appear to be part of an organized crime group which targets retail investors with coordinated financial attacks. That's what Busy Brands wanted me to read to you and for comment.
I agree, but I think FINRA's taken the bullet for this thing, and they basically had to throw a body out there to slow it down because they didn't know what to do. Okay, I think that they're protecting somebody, obviously. We know that. So someone had to take the beating for it, so it's FINRA. I think the SEC wanted it off their plate and let FINRA take the bullet for it. FINRA did not make a move to shut down the stock without permission from the SEC. They're working together, obviously, but they blame FINRA for it. Now FINRA's going to, dig themselves out. They probably did it for some legal reason that FINRA shut it down versus the SEC. Okay, but they did it for a reason. Now they have to try to figure out how to get out of this thing. And the problem is that time is a killer. You're at 200 days now. People are giving up hope. They don't know what to say. And, I just look at it as a ploy saying they're going to come back to you and try to settle with everybody. And people, instead of making a lot of money, will be thrilled if they get back their money. I think that's what their angle is. And then they're going to have to deal with the lawsuits. That's what I think is going to happen.
Have you, one guy's asking, have you heard of Cassava Science, which has a drug apparently that works against Alzheimer's, and the shorts destroyed the company?
I don't know the symbol. What's the symbol of it?
Yeah, he didn't give it. Let me look if he's updated. No, he didn't give it. Maybe he will here in the future. One guy asks about TOP, T-O-P. What are your thoughts? It seems to be moving.
That's a good one. I'll give you my opinion on that. This is like the third attempt, I think, that they bounced it back up to. So what I said to you before about Finger and GTII, we have our short built in at 4 and below 1. Top is building their short at $10, right around this range. You can see it's now 31 million shares today. So they're getting the shorts to come into the stock like crazy right around here. So the short and top is probably between 8 and 10. They're building the short position. I think once it breaks, okay, that this thing will have a major run because it's right above this level is where these guys are all short. They're trying to hold it down, so it's a good fight here. Obviously the dips you can buy it because they have to cover, but if you want to be play the gusto, there is no options. But I think above $10, $11, $12 that this thing can really rip because you can see the shorts built in here now.
So, were you around for the VW squeeze?
Which one?
VW.
Oh, I was at the front line of that one. I've seen it happen. I watched Stevie Cohen lose billions. I've seen them all get killed.
So you saw billionaires, big money, make a mistake, and their capital was evaporated just as if it was $1,000.
In seconds. We all knew about it in 1 second. And we knew the people that were getting roasted. I didn't know the German guy who jumped in front of a train, but I hated short sellers, so I couldn't give a rat's ass about him. Think about that. The guy was worth $9 billion. He was in the top 100 richest people in the world. And he had to jump in front of a train because he lost it all because of Volkswagen. A short squeeze in Volkswagen. So he was shorting, and he lost everything. $9 billion. So, William, you put up that Lynn Partners has a connection to some guy in Australia. I forgot his name.
John Hancock, 20th richest man in Australia.
Right. So he's tied to Lynn. Is that guy risking his $2 billion that he's long, that he owns?
I think only by lawsuit, but yeah, reputation.
Is that money tied to the finger motion? I hope so. I would love to see that guy jump in front of a train.
I think he's just doesn't realize his risk.
Well, these guys are, the trade used to be short and distort. Now it's just the opposite. People want to get long. The money's made to the long side now, not to the short side. These guys that are shorting these stocks have overstayed their welcome, and now they get roasted.
Explore that a little longer, a little more. Explain what you think about that. In the shorts have had a free ride. That's where everyone gangs in now for a while, and now you think it's on the long side.
Everyone I talk to say the play is now to the long side, not the short side.
In not just macro, but in specific stocks.
Oh, listen, again, the play, listen, you can't talk to sit there and tell you what to do on Apple. It just goes up Apple, my older brother is a UNH Caterpillar deer trader and Home Depot. These things are wild stocks that go up and down. So, those are different plays. But in the small names, like the GameStop shows you, the reward is to the upside, not to the downside. $4 to make if it goes to zero, up to $500 if you lose. You tell me where you'd rather be. And so the mentality is, hey, I'm not short the $4 stock anymore. It's not worth it. I'd rather buy it. And that's what you're seeing.
Somebody is older than you are?
Yeah, dirt.
The symbol for Cassava Science is SAVA. Sam Albert Victor Albert.
I don't. It's down from 50. I don't know.
I don't know anything. They're wondering.
It's $25.
It's an Alzheimer's drug.
Yeah, they don't care. Like, no one has it. No big deal. No one has it. No, it doesn't hurt anybody. These companies need to be protected. They need to go up. Let them raise capital to where are we supposed to get medicine to take care of anyone? Where do we get it from? A witch doctor? A guy with a rattle? Someone's got to invent it. And you can't invent it with no money. A classic example is CELU. I went to see the guy. Tremendous operation, science. The guy's a neurosurgeon from a trauma center. Knows nothing about the stock market. And someone gave him $6 million. He gave them 18 million shares at 70 cents or 60 cents. I told you, unless they give their name, stay away from the stock. It keeps going, falling back down. Obviously, the guys gave him the money. They're shorting it against their stock. It's garbage. He got $6 million. He'll burn through his money. He'll have to go back to the well again. And that's how the market cap of these companies collapses. And then they'll eventually reverse it. And he'll be caught in the same car wash as everyone else that does it. That's how they do it. These stocks need to let them go up, raise money. The guy's working on infectious diseases. Where are you going to get treated from? These big companies don't do it anymore. The small companies are the ones that are taking the shots and raising the capital to save your life, not the big companies. The big companies come to buy them out later.
Well, I think we're sort of at the end. But we can keep going. There'll be some more questions, but I just remind everyone that Wes said it's a call to duty now. He's never seen the opportunity to really press our efforts like now, and I give credit to him for that. He also, just quickly, I want to say, he mentioned his website is nakedtruth.info. Nakedtruth.info. Anyway, go on.
My site is nakedgirls.com.
Oh, come on.
Anyway, listen, again, the opportunity is you have to figure out what your opportunity is. There's many stocks that are being naked shorted. Again, do your own due diligence, figure it out. We're lucky that Finger Motion now has options, so that gives me.
What's your thoughts? Just to interrupt, somebody asked about Fingers trading end of the month now. Maybe that's it.
Well, I think that there's some really smart buyers. I spoke to a lot of friends yesterday, and on the dip yesterday, near the end of the day, I had a friend that was. I'll give you an example. I'm going to show you, or I can tell you. My friend was buying 100 at the end of the day, using a 310, 312. We were trying to buy it up there, and I was on the phone with him. They didn't want this stock to go green yesterday at all costs. They hit our bids at 309, 308, 310, 311. If you watched the close yesterday, as soon as they finished with the 100,000 we bought, in one tick, they marked it at 290. That's how fast they wanted it down. They wanted it down on 100 shares. They marked it down quick. That's the sign of desperation. And my friend who bought the 100, his friends were standing there trying to buy 75, 80,000. I heard all kinds of big numbers that came in late in the day that is standing, waiting for any dips. Okay, so smart people, that's how they play the game. Okay, the short sellers, they can't push it down because there's buyers sitting there waiting for it now. So again, accumulation.
Is it worth? Do you think it's worth buying 100 shares of Finger or 10 calls?
I'll give you my opinion on it. Okay, I really believe in my heart that Lynn is going to panic, fold, and it's going to end shortly. Okay, I can't tell you to buy a zillion shares. You own one share just so you can be part of history when it happens. You know, same thing like I say in GTI. It's the same thing. This one, you know, you never know what's going to go. There's signs that show they're going to go. One of the signs was the same exact sign as GameStop. They start to spike, fingers spike, then they attack it back down. They go sideways. Once they gain momentum the second or third time, that's when they take off. And that's what I was describing to you in TOP. It's popped. They're holding it here. They may push it back down. The next pop, when it breaks, once it goes 12, 13, 14, 15, maybe you get it back to 100. I don't know. But they try to stop the momentum. It's the same patterns. People, you have to understand the patterns. You have to see what they are. Finger motion was just offered at 302, 302, 303. Someone came in, offered 1,200 at 3. Right? Someone's always making a sale. That's how you know it's the short sellers. Closing the market up. They don't want it. I don't know what 3 means, but whatever it is, they don't want it above it.
It's amazing. This seller never runs out of shares.
It's like we shoot one of them, someone else jumps in. It's like unbelievable. It's the same pattern in GTII. You could take the 25,000 that's offered, or now it's 29,173. If you look at GTII, you can tell it's the shorts. Both the bid and the offer have these weird numbers: 19,921 on the bid and 29,173 on the offer. Those are the short sellers communicating back and forth using numbers. So here's the finger motion was offered at 302, then it went to 3, now it's 299. They just keep 1,600. 1,000. They just try to keep changing it.
So Ham, keep talking for a while. I'd have to take a break.
Keep talking?
Yeah, keep talking for a while. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm leaving for just a minute.
You're not going to hang yourself or anything, right? Okay.
I have to pee.
Okay. So, the trading patterns will show you the signs. It's trading patterns. You have to study, memorize them. For example, I've been studying top. And like I said, the next time it breaks through 10, 11, it starts to rip, I think you can really have a big play. There's no option, so again, I'm not chasing a $10 stock, but I do study it and, just try to memorize it. And this way you can see when they're going to go. Finger motion, you can see the dips. There's buyers standing around. The shorts, just remember this. And a name like this, or GTII, when they're selling it is when I like to buy it. Because when they stop, it's going to be impossible to buy. When finger motion was running the other day to $4 or something, it wasn't easy to buy. People were chasing it. Okay, that's because the shorts are on the run. When they start to run, it's hard to chase it, buy it. So I like to buy it when it's standing still. Okay, I know my risk. The stock is 3. Okay, the most I can lose is $3 if the stock goes to 0. I know that the floor on the stock is $5. Benchmark told you that. So I got my parameters on here. So again, there's risk in every stock. I'm never going to deny that. There's always risk, I can tell you a quick story. I bought a stock for a takeover, and the takeover bid was supposed to happen on Monday, and the market closed on Friday. The stock was $19. It was up $2 on Friday. The takeover was supposed to be 30 on Monday. Everything was great. We all kind of heard it. We all were there. It turns out the next day, the gentleman that was the corporate raider was going to take the company over, was in a limousine doing cocaine, had a heart attack, and he died. That was the end of that bid. He died in a limousine. And the stock dropped down to 10. We all lost. So anything can happen. I've seen it happen. I couldn't believe it when they called and told me, read the New York Times, that's the guy who was making the company the bid, and he's dead. He was in a car, he did cocaine, he killed himself. So anything can happen. That was the strangest story I was ever in, and I lost money on. So I did lose money. One time my brother bought me calls on I can't remember, it was a Cincinnati clothing company or a retailer. A guy got out of the nut house and made a $60 bid for it. I think it was Dayton Hudson. I can't remember. I think it was Dayton Hudson. And they made a bid for the company. And my brother goes, well, he made a $60 bid. It's trading only up $5. And he bought me $30,000 worth of options. And the next day they came out and said the guy got it in a nut house and made a bid. And Dow Jones put it on the tape, but I wound up losing $30,000 over it.
We have to look at, according to this gentleman, we have to look at SAVA, S-A-V-A, because the Alzheimer results worked. But anyway, I don't know more about it.
No, I'll pass it to my friends. I have friends at Roth Capital that are biotech guys. I'll ask him.
Fingers 297.
Listen, again, the pennies up and down, they move the offers down to torture you. That's it. But they're giving you an opportunity to buy it. That's how I look at it. If the guy wasn't selling it, if he wasn't selling, like I had a friend bought $30,000 the other day. And he goes, I think he paid $330 for it because they hit me so fast. And I said to him, "Did you want to buy it?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what's the big deal? The fast, slow. What's the difference? You're now the proud owner. You wanted to buy it. You're in it. That's how it goes."
Right.
It's
hard to hit the bottom.
So let me just give you one other thought before the weekend, and I'll let everyone go. I don't want to keep you forever.
Right.
My thought on I lost my thought. That's it. I forgot.
You can't hit the bottom.
No, that wasn't it. I'm blank.
On GTII being 297, your friend paid 330.
Give me a second. That's what's the name of that Alzheimer's drug?
You need the Alzheimer's drug.
I get it. I better check it out. It's something. It was something more away from the stocks. It's more about the naked short selling. Listen, everyone. I can only teach you about it. I can teach you how to. I can tell you see the signs. I can show you how they're going to break out. Again, stocks. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. Everyone's talking about payment for order flow. I want anyone who brings that up again to take a nail and hammer it into your hand. It means nothing. They're changing the tune. All they're doing is changing the story. Payment for order flow means nothing. All right? Get it through your head. It means nothing. Don't fall for it. What they're going to say is, hey, the European Union is not going to allow payment for order flow anymore. And everyone's going to look at it as a victory to stop naked short selling. It has nothing to do with naked short selling. I don't care if the man on the moon sold me my finger motion stock. It needs to settle. Stock settlement is the problem, not the payment for order flow. I don't give a shit who sells it to you. You don't care. I don't care if it's the Kramers or Link Partners. Settle the trades. Let me see you keep delivering it. If they're not delivering it, that's the problem. Stock settlement.
You should see the liquidity being provided right now in Finger. $2.99 by 301, and the last trade is $2.99.35.
Just so you ask. So if anyone has a question about that, how do you get change if I give you $3? What is change of $3 minus $2.99.35? What kind of coin do I get back from that number? What does that number even mean?
It's right in front of their eyes. I can't believe there's no. One, I can't believe there's no enforcement of settlement, as you just called for. And then they ridicule us to ask for settlement.
Listen, the reporters, Wes, I think it was in the story, the street owns the press. Okay? The street owns the press. Dow Jones, they own Barron's, they own this paper, they own that paper. You know, it's how do you compete? You know, there's no voice. Frankie Nez is our voice. All right, Frankie Nez does a great job reporting it every day. I love it. He goes right to him, punches him in the face. Right?
Yeah.
I read his stuff all the time. Okay, so I mean that's our voice, Frankie Nez.
Jimmy Dore pointed out that that Gloria Vanderbilt's son, I forget his name, with the white hair on CNN. Why can't I think? I need that Alzheimer's story. He gets paid. He gets paid $10 million a year as, the guy with the glasses, always glum.
I know.
He gets $10 million a year out of his $12 million as salary paid for by Pfizer. Unbelievable.
Listen, as far as what's going on in the rest
Anderson
of the world,
Cooper. Anderson Cooper.
Disappear. That's it. I don't care. They can all drop dead. Anyone who's lying should go straight to hell. I mean, it's just sickening. You have children, you have grandkids. No one gives a shit about anything. It's a very tough world. Make your money. Get yourself protected. Go where you got to live. Be safe. That's all I can tell you. Life is short. Don't let this educate everybody on this phone call today. Send West's story. Send them their story. Send them a video. Get your money out of the equity markets while you can. There's no reason to be here. Go buy a house. Go put it in a can in the backyard and bury it. They're just trying to steal it. I keep telling you that. Everyone keeps thinking, oh, look at this stock up $13. It's a needle in a haystack finding a stock that's going to run 10 points and change their life. It's very hard to find.
One guy's asking, and I don't personally think there is a particularly bad or good number, but he's asking, is there a good number for Finger to close at today?
It doesn't make a difference.
I think we've already seen the worst that they can do, and it's coming back up next week. Maybe not Monday, but predicting short-term moves is like getting a return phone call from somebody I asked out.
You ready? I've been talking about NVIDIA. Some shareholders on it, they ask me questions about it all the time. The stock is beating the world, and this AI and the chips is the leader, blah, 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 blah. This stock has got 20-point swings every day. It was 415, it's 425. The next day it's 399. There's a negative story. They knock it down. The next day it's back up. Volatility is just creating opportunities for people to make money. That's all it is. That's what Wall Street's about. If stocks move like they used to move, William, everything moved like a snail. If you had a stock that went up $5 back in the day, it was like, oh my God, that was like up 100.
It was news. It was news.
Right.
Yeah.
Stocks today, $20 is no big deal. Tesla's up 20 today.
That's something Wes said today too. He said Wall Street securitizes everything.
Again, I don't know exactly how they're creating it. I'm not in the back office. I'm not in Goldman. The pool of people doing this stuff is so small. Okay? So that's what I say when they grab Savvy or they grab the Kramers, all right, or Lynn Partners, hang them upside down until they tell you who's behind it, who put them. Just like they go after the mafia. Get one rat and get the next guy to turn on the next guy. All right? The Kramers aren't that smart. Who turned them onto it? Who gave them to Alpine? Alpine's the prime broker. They said, go to Alpine. They're dirty. They'll help you out. They'll teach you, but you got to help pay them. That's probably what they did. Right?
Thank God. I didn't want to pay $3, but I did get it off at $2,999. I'm just joking. It's unbelievable.
They just keep coming back. Listen, if you wanted to sell 1 million shares at $3, put it out there. Instead, they put 6. You take the 6, it goes back to 303. As soon as it goes bid, they hit the 3 bid back because they wanted to get it down. That's not a sell-up. I remember the day I used to check the floor. How much is offered at 35? just 200,000. Who's selling it? Goldman. Boom, we take it, and it'd be done. If they have any, we used to say, they have any more? No, that's it. Then we go 35 bids. That's how it works.
This man who runs the SEC and I guess FINRA, they have no curiosity. They don't look into it.
I think they are. I think, like I said, the money's been stolen. They let all these people worldwide sell us counterfeit goods. They have no idea. Just go read the Dole Food story. That moron, Matt Levine, wrote the story. He said that they have to unwind the trades now to see who naked shorted the 13 million shares in Dole Foods. And most likely, he either died or he closed up his business. Good luck finding him. That was him describing Wall Street looking for the naked short seller in Dole Foods. It's in his article. And that's what happens. They sell it, they disappear, they put their name on a boat, and they're in the Cayman Islands someplace running around having a party. When the stocks go back up, there's no money. They just file for bankruptcy, and the system takes the hit. That's what happens.
Everybody's saying they want $3 for the statements at the close. One person's asking after these plays, does it make sense to buy dividend-paying stocks, or should you just get out of the market completely?
Yeah, anything that would secure dividend stocks, paying stocks, that's what you have to go to. Preferred stocks, things like that.
Yeah.
I can't advise you on those things.
No, I know, but in general.
Mom, who just passed away, and all she had was preferred stocks, and it produced income. I think he said of $37,000 they created a year for her, and that it was a preferred safe, and she lived a nice life, making her money, and that's what she did.
Yeah.
Listen, if you sit here and tell me, as a young person, a young guy, whoever you may be, woman, trying to trade the market every day, it's very different than when I did it. Super different, super hard. People, remember, the people that are selling you options, they're not stupid. They know that the stocks have volatility in them. And that's why the premiums are listen, I had a guy who told me he had Tesla the other day. It went up 15 points, and he lost a quarter on his options. How'd that happen? I said, it's called premium. The guys who sold you the options, they believed the stock was going to go up too. If you wanted to buy those options, you had a deal against them. The stock went up, and the premium came out of the stock, and you lost a quarter. And the stock went up 15 points. So learning how to trade options and premium is another game. So it's very difficult. All right, so when you're playing this game. So education is the most important thing you have going for you. Keep getting smart on that. So they took the 600 at $3,
yeah,
and now there's 700 for sale at 301. I mean, it's never ending of a seller. 200, 500. They'll be back with 1,600 in a few minutes. Whatever it is. It's remarkable that someone would waste their time doing this all day. That's the funny part.
$3. So here's one guy said, lots of stupid questions. You don't have to respond to that.
I got it.
I'll take responsibility for the questions being stupid. They're not stupid, though. Anyway, this guy says he can't help himself, he admits, but he just wonders, is there any way the shorts in Finger, GTII, etc., get away with this, get out of this, have a way out?
Yes, they're going to file for bankruptcy. I gave you the description. Lynn Partners is a Madison Avenue firm that have some money behind them. And you can see by their photos, they're a bunch of weasels. They're not going to jail. They're going to turn around. There's the 100 shares to sell at $3 now. They had a panic to sell that 100 shares. What they're going to do is they're going to when they fold, they're going to take their money, whatever's in that LLC, whatever money it is. They're going to start covering, and then they're going to run out of money, and they're going to put their hands up and say, "Hey, we're broke." That's what's going to happen. And whoever their prime is, who we believe is Jeffries, will take the hit for it.
And Jeffries will buy it back, not put it in this warehouse.
No, you can't. You can't let these things. These things don't live. That goes around.
Okay.
Jeffries doesn't want to destroy their company over Lynn Partners. Okay, they're not going to let it keep growing.
Right.
Okay, they close it out. The Creamers are a different crew. The Creamers are the crew that just basically, they're just walking away. They could care less. They're looking. The way they think is that screw it. If we're going to lose $1, we might as well lose $1 billion. It doesn't make a difference. We're going to get the same. We're going to get the same harassment either way. That's how they look at it.
No one FUXs with us.
Right. That's what they said. Just read what their family says. No one fucks with us. This is who we are.
Can't buy class like that.
Listen, I don't give a shit what they think to themselves. I've never seen anyone post it with their photos that no one fucks with them. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
But anyway, we're just trying to make money here. We're not trying to go after them per se.
Oh, no, listen. At the end of the day, I would go out and have a drink with them and say thank them for giving me the opportunity to make some money off of this. That's,
So
that's how I look at it.
This one guy's asking if Lynn Partners bankrupts their LLCs, will the prime brokers pay?
Wall Street, when you have a mistake or an error, the number one rule is close it out, because it only gets worse. If let's say the Lynn goes bankrupt, and the margin call still lives, right?
Right.
Let's say Jeffries has this enormous position short $150 million now.
Right.
And the stock goes to 5, 7, 10. Jeffries is getting the margin call now. The DTC is going to say, hey, you're down $1 billion over here. You got to put up money. Jeffries has to eat it. So their job is to clean it up before it gets to $1, $2, $3 billion, because these things do exist, and the auditors have to report on it. They just can't hide it. We were always told, attack the auditors. Just remember this, there's a naked short seller. If there is an attorney on the phone, Mark Bazile, attack the auditors. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, you name them. Everyone got paid a commission all these years to buy, be the custodian, and settle your trades. That's what your commission was paid for. If they never settled trades, how did they record that as income? They never did anything. So I had a woman that was a big-time auditor. She told me to attack the auditors of the brokerage firms because all their financials are wrong.
It's false earnings.
Well, they never earned anything.
Right.
They're all unsettled trades. How could they report it as income?
It's a very powerful argument.
That's the truth. I mean, but I don't have time to chase auditors around the globe. I'm chasing a couple of clerks trying to make a living. I could care less. But if you want to go to the big leagues, the brokerage firms are all frauds. I'm going to put up a story myself. Goldman, all these guys, they are counterfeiters. They're the counterfeit clearinghouse. They're just like Etsy. If Etsy's selling counterfeit goods, what are the brokerage firms selling us? It's the same thing.
Well, Pat Byrne called Goldman Sachs prime broker a trading desk, a stock loan desk with the name of an investment bank on the door.
Right. All their money is made from stock loan. They used to have a thing called the easy to borrow list. If Goldman owned 100,000 shares, all the hedge funds can just check their easy to borrow list. If there's 100,000 available, you can borrow it. You just check it off and you pay them the fee. Unfortunately, there was like 30 guys all borrowing the same 100,000. So that's how it works. Everybody's using it.
You understand seller boxing. I like this question, and I'll be specific. I think that seller boxing. These stocks that are pennies. I don't know what the hell's going on with those names. I never looked at them. I couldn't answer them. I really don't. There's everyone asks about Alpine going down. Therefore, they should buy DBMM. I caution them because it looks seller box to me. And at some point, maybe they can't recover. I don't know if I like Lee, I forget her name, Lee something, the CEO very much, but I don't know much about DBM.
Listen, I was never involved in a stock that was those type of numbers. I don't follow them. I don't even understand who would be making a market that this thing could trade 3.5 million shares or whatever number that is, 0082. Who would even bother?
Well, it's a huge spread percentage-wise.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I'm not from that world, so I don't know.
No, I got it.
I have no interest in it. Now people sit here and they trade. Oh, I made up. It went from 001 to 00. I'm like, I not my game.
$3 to 302. You've got only 6 minutes to fill out, and we'll see how it closes. I'm not seeing any more questions. Okay, what? Well, God, it's the same question always. Can they use 3 halt finger or GTII?
Can they hold them?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you my opinion on that. Since Robinhood put the stop button on, they'll never do it again. Okay? That Robinhood, they got their shot. They stopped it once. They can't do it again. Okay? So they all went to Congress. What happened here? This, that. Why'd you stop the bot? They can't. That ain't happening anymore. That game's over.
And someone's asking if they didn't put the if. I'm putting the if. If this new group of investors, Asian investors, are in it, how long does it take them to accumulate a position before they really put the hammer on?
Well, I don't know them. I don't know their patterns. Again, I used to accumulate big positions. We got paid to accumulate in our favor, not your favor. So meaning that they do it on their time. If there's no selling, I would, if I had to buy 10 million shares of this stock, you can see they just keep coming back and offering it 3. Hurry up, get it down below 3 again. You can sit there all day and just keep taking them at 3. You think it's not much. I told you I bought 100,000 with my friend yesterday at 309. We couldn't even pay 311. They were hitting us so fast. That's just how it is.
There's someone asking if you're married. You still have something.
I
whatever.
have a wife and 2 girlfriends. I don't talk to her. And my daughter listens to my calls, and I'll give everybody the funny story. My daughter's unemployed. She got laid off. She has college loans. She has a car payment, and she put all her money into Finger. And the other day when it was running, she's asking me what to do, and I says, listen, I just told you, you make small sales to get your money off the table, then you can let it do whatever it wants. I'm not going to advise you. And then she said, well, Ham said this. I said, well, ask him. I said, I'm not going to, you ask him what you want to do. I'm not telling you what to do. It's hard to, my daughter listens to my calls, and it's, I say the same thing I'll say to anybody else. I don't know your financial position, but when you're using every penny to your name in your life and you have no career right now in this, you have to survive. Taking your money, your initial money off the table, there's no shame in that. And you're never going to, it's very rare that you're going to go into the casino and take out $1,000 out of your pocket and say, hey, I'm going to put it on 27 red, which is my favorite number, and you're going to hit it. And say, okay, here you go. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go 2 for 2, just betting. You got 36 numbers on a board, and it's going to land on your number at 1 row. So the stock market is about making money, stay alive, and keep playing. I'd rather own 2,000 shares than 10,000 shares or something and say, okay, you know what? I can sit with it. I'm not panicking. I can feed my family. I can do something. And that's the way you have to look at it. I don't believe in this all in. And then you come back and there's at 3 again. They come right back at you, William. We got to hold it 2,000 more at 3. Hurry up.
We better get 2985.
They come back. That is the pattern of a short seller that doesn't want to let it go off.
Hey, 29999. My order went off.
I'm just saying that this is their pattern. It's just, you can see it. This is Someone is actually
302.
doing this all day. Someone is actually doing this all day long.
Not a computer.
Right, all day long, sitting here. This is
Genius.
There's no computer that's sitting here generating. That's sitting here. Okay, we have to offer it down to 302. Sell the 200 shares. That's why I tried to. People ask about how does an institution accumulate. Well, when you see them doing this game here, you can actually buy 30 to 40,000 in a $3 limit right now. You keep playing it, they get back with another 6,400 now at 302. Do you understand? They keep. This is how you bait the short into selling. They keep offering, you keep taking it. They keep offering, you keep taking it. You don't need to. You don't need to bid. Let them offer, then you take it from them. Before you know it, you got 100,000 and another 100. They keep coming back. And remember, people that are accumulating a position are not here to move it up to make you happy. They're here to help themselves. Wall Street's about getting the best price for yourself. All right? And here you go. 302 is 6,600 now. You know? It adds up quick. You keep buying it. That's what I keep trying to tell you. You don't realize it. And the short is the only person sitting here trying to do it. Keep offering it.
302. 4
There's
o'clock.
No question they're going to close this below 3.
It's above 3. It already closed above 3.
Impossible.
Oh, no. Last is 299. Last is 299.
They needed it to close below 3 for some godforsaken reason. Anyway, listen, everyone, have a great weekend. We have a half day on Monday, and we'll be ready for battle in that.
Thanks a lot, Ham. You're the best.
Got it.
All right.
No problem.
All right, everyone. I'm going to sign off, too, because I haven't even had lunch. I just had a couple of bananas, and I think we should all enjoy our weekend. Wimbledon is starting, and my prediction is Cota versus Djokovic in the final, with a Djokovic win. So Jennifer, I don't know. Anyway, who's to say in the affairs of the hearts of men? I think the volume being low is great. I think it's all fake, and I think when the volume's low, it means the selling's drying up, either because they can't do it anymore, buying's coming in. Grow up, Arthur. You'll make a fine adult. Smile, Arthur. People work here. Sit up, Arthur. Later on, we'll have ice cream. Okay, so I'm gonna just end it because I didn't really expect to come on in the middle of the day, and I was listening to Wes's call earlier, so it feels like a long day. You have a boyfriend? I've never had a boyfriend. I wonder what it's like. No, I don't. Anyway, I don't know what to say. I think it's good what's going on. Avid is on. All right, go listen to Avid. Cheers, everyone. Peace, love, and happiness. And we will. You can. Jennifer, you can get it from Jenny or whatever if you want, but I don't. Okie dokie sounds good. Okie dokie. All right. Anyway, happy 4th of July to everyone. Remember, we're a great country, and remember to love your neighbors as you do yourselves. Okay. Cheers. Nag, nag.